Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahashem YAHAWASHI, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash, double honor to the apostles of Great Millstone, who learned the truth of the gospel of Yahawashi from, and peace, love, salutations, and blessings to the house of David, which is the elect, the men, women, and children that are predestined to receive salvation and to be the first fruits of the kingdom of heaven, which is the kingdom of Israel. It's the brother Tazawam coming back with another lesson, Lord willing. It'll be edifying unto the elect who we endure things for. So just just quick couple of videos of this whole divide that is being propagated throughout the various different countries with this whole Vanessa mandates. So what you got going on, which I'm going to play first here. I believe this is in the UK. Says anti-Vanessa protesters try to storm BBC studios as they clash with cops during rally. Okay, and
the idea of creating
let me just play this
workshops scared
ad
me
real
at
quick.
first. Now I help students all over the world expand their own vision.
So what you got them showing more and more as they roll out their agenda of having everybody juiced is now it's more rhetoric of the anti-Vanessas are causing the spread of the virus. They're the reason why the Delta variant is so prevalent, and ultimately you had Fauci, Anthony Fauci came out and said that there could be a variant that's worse than Delta, and basically it's going to be because of the mutation that is happening in the anti-Vanessa. So what is being propagated, the narrative that is being pushed out, is that if this things get when I should say this pandemic gets worse, or whether they are pushing out more and more larger numbers of hospitalizations and deaths, which you're starting to see a rise. They're saying that there's a rise in hospitalizations and deaths because of the anti-Vanessa. What is going to be pushed through the media and through societies is that the anti-Vanessas are the problem. All right, they're a public health risk. They're unpatriotic. They're dangerous. Okay, you want to see here, they're violent. All right, they're seditious. So there's going to be a heavy persecution, which this devil is trying to orchestrate, because there are people that are not bowing the knee to his new normal. Okay, so they're going to lump all these people into one group of basically being public health risk or public enemies of the state, so on and so forth. So without further ado, let's play this clip right here. Once again, this is anti-Vanessa protesters try to storm BBC studios as they clash with cops. Okay, so now there was a article, that I touched on a couple of days ago, and we touched on it at camp as well, about how here in Babylon there's supposed to be, or there was talks that Biden is supposed to be instituting another lockdown, okay, because of the quote unquote spread and the increasing numbers of hospitalizations and cases. So in that article, it talked about how there could be a false event, whether it targets a hospital or whatever. They were saying that there could be a false event that basically gets blamed on the unvanessed. All right, and you're seeing all these protestings all across the world about these mandates and health passes that these different countries, which a lot of these countries that are doing it are countries that are a part of the beast system. Their citizens are protesting against it. Now they could use these protesters and implement agent provocateurs within these protesters to have a false event occur, and then blame the unvanessed for the false event. So now here on this other video you have from Bloomberg Markets and Finance, says people don't have the right to stay unvanessed, Georgetown, Gostin. So now they're saying that it's not even your right to be unvanessed. Before I get into that clip, let me pull out the scripture, because if they're trying to take away your right, then that is completely showing you that these devils, they don't view you as individuals. All right, they view you as property of the state. All right, as cattle. All right, you don't have your own individual rights, and that's why ultimately they want to institute that Marcus, because when you go into the Greek word for the charagma, it's basically something that is stamped for as a owner, stamping a cattle to show ownership. So this is Isaiah chapter 10 verse 1. It says, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, that write grievousness which they have prescribed." Okay, and the things that this devil is prescribing is grievous. Okay, excluding or restricting people who don't want to be inoculated with some juice. They get restricted from daily liberties of life. Verse 2, it says, "To turn away the needy from judgment, and to take away the right." You see, take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. Okay, so they're taking away the right of the poor, which really everybody that is not a part of the elitist society are poor. Okay, because they have created a society to where it's the super rich and everybody else are the poor. Okay, even if you are in a middle class or upper middle class, you are really just one paycheck away from being in dire straits. All right, so let's go back here. It says people don't have the right to stay vanessed. So let's listen to this one.
Millions of vulnerable Americans struggle to get reliable transportation.
Right now, not only our interview of the day on this great debate, but frankly, the interview of the year. Lawrence Gostin owns a high ground at Georgetown. Yes, as a professor of medicine, but definitive on law. His work at Johns Hopkins, his work at Georgetown and Harvard has been noted for decades with important books written as well. I want to talk, Dr. Gostin, about the thing that comes up in every conversation, which is the privilege versus the right on whether it's drunk driving or having a beer, or in this case, on vaccination. Are unvaccinated people of a right or a privilege? Which is it?
Oh, well, it's certainly not a right. And thanks for asking that. It's a really important question. I want to say first, nobody should be kind of shaming or blaming people who are unvaccinated. That's entirely unproductive. It's not going to change hearts and minds. But, you can do anything that you want to do for your own health and safety, but you don't have the right to put someone else at risk. So you don't have the right to go unvaccinated and unmasked in a crowded workspace or in a crowded classroom. It's very clear to me that no one has the right not to get a vaccine unless they're going to be hiding themselves away and not exposing others to infection.
The courts seem to be siding, a la cruise ships or Indiana University, with the institutions. Does that surprise you?
It doesn't. We do have a very conservative court, judiciary, Supreme Court and all right down. So you can never be sure. But the law seems to me to be, rock solid. Basically saying that, businesses, colleges, universities, cruise ships and others absolutely can require vaccinations as a condition of going to work.
What do you presume we will see? And I'll pick on Florida with the really grim hospitalization statistics there. But there is a mantra of Jacksonian states' rights. How will that state deal with the battle between Jacksonian states' rights and courts saying, no, you got to go the other way?
It's going to be really rough. Florida is actually one of about 12 states that have actually passed a law banning proof of vaccination systems and banning local mask mandates. One of the things that I reflect on is that, in the conservative tradition in the United States, normally we give a lot of autonomy to businesses and to local governments and to local health officials. And so states are really, abridging the rights of the private sector, universities and others, to actually ensure that their workplaces are safe and secure. And there's a wider freedom here, and that wider freedom is, the freedom of all of us to get back to all of the things we love, and that'll only happen if most people are vaccinated.
Hey, so you hear that rhetoric that they're saying, okay? At the bottom it says, no one has the right to put others at risk. And that is how they're going to push this thing. That is how they're going to justify forcing or, doing all these different coercive tactics in order to, get people to take that Vanessa. Is because they're going to say that what you're doing is actually, or what you're not doing is actually causing other people that are doing it to still get sick, which doesn't make any sense at all. Okay. But as you see right here, you got these talking heads are basically telling you that you don't have the right to be unvanessed. You don't have the right as a human being, as your own individual self, to not put something in your body that the government, all right, mind you, this wicked ass, evil, demonic government is telling you to do. You don't have the right to deny that. And if you do deny that, then that means we have, meaning the government, are going to have to take measures and steps to make sure that you do not infect or get anyone else sick, which is when they're going to start throwing people into these internment camps, these isolation camps. Because when you heard him, he said, you don't have the right to get Vanessa unless you are going to just be completely isolated. Let me see if I can find that part again. All right, because that right there tells you the mindset of what they of the alternatives that they're basically saying to the ones who don't get Vanessa.
Which is it?
Let's see. Minds, but you can do anything that you want to do for your own health and safety, but you don't have the right to put someone else at risk. So you don't have the right to go unvaccinated and unmasked in a crowded workspace or in a crowded classroom. It's very clear to me that no one has the right not to get a vaccine unless they're going to be hiding themselves away and not exposing others to infection.
Hey, there you go. So no one has the right to not get the Vanessa unless you're going to be hiding yourself away, all right, so that you don't get anyone else, infected. So they're going to have this, narrative to where if you don't choose to get Vanessa, then you have to be hidden away. You cannot be a part of society if you do not choose to get Vanessa. You do not have the right to be a part of society if you do not choose to get Vanessa. And if you don't hide yourself away, which as you see, everybody's protesting, all right, they can't really determine if you're really hiding yourself away or not. So what are they going to do? What did Cuomo say? We got to go house to house. We got to go to the doors and we got to convince people to take the Vanessa. We got to get them in cars and we got to drive them there, right? But if that person that you get in that car says, there's no way I'm agreeing to take this Vanessa, so they're going to say, well, you don't have the right to be in society without Vanessa. So therefore, we have to isolate you so that we can make sure as public health officials that you are not infecting anybody else. So now you have to come to this internment FEMA camp and live out your days here until you decide whether or not you want to be a part of society. You see? But once again, we know, like I said, this is all the front runner to the Marcus, because they're going to need to be able to track ones who are not, compliant with the system, right? And all these different uproars, all right, all these different protestings, they're going to use that as the reason to have to come down with that wrath, all right, upon, the world. So this is coming from RT. It says, France extends use of health pass to cafes and restaurants despite weekend of mass protest. See? So they don't care about what the society, all right, the public is thinking. These governments, which they try to seem as though the governments work for the people, really the governments work for the elites. All right, they work for the elites. So they don't care about whether or not the public is against these mandates. It says the French government is pushing ahead with enforcing the extension of France's new Crown Royal health pass, which now admits entry to bars and restaurants, as well as flights and trains, and restricts unvaccinated citizens. Okay, so now you can't even use in France public transportation, which that's ultimately going to, spread throughout the various different parts. And ultimately here in Babylon the Great, you won't be able to go on trains and buses and planes without having proof of your Vanessa. It says on Monday, a fourth weekend of mass protests, the government proceeded with imposing the extension of the controversial health pass and restrictions on the Unvanessed, which are set to be in place until at least November. Now, they always say these things, it's going to only be until this time. But every time that deadline comes about, they have new reasons to push the deadline. Okay? Which is why we keep saying that there is no going back to normal. There is no, this was just 2000 and 2020, 21, and, everything goes back to, before the pandemic. No. All right, they are going full force ahead with their agenda. All right, nonstop. Yeah, it's going to be through it's through gradualism. However, they're gradually moving faster as well. It's like a train, you know. A train at first, the locomotion, that's what it's called. At first it starts off slow, but it picks up steam, you know, and as it continues to drive, it gets faster and faster and faster, going full steam ahead to its destination. Well, that's what this devil is doing with his NWO. All right, and this right here is 100% a part of it. Their end of it. All right, the end of their enterprise when it is what having that Marcus implemented and mandated, just like how they had the Vanessa implemented and mandated, and they're you know doing different schemes to get more and more people to do so. They're going to do that even with more vigorousness and more draconian measures with that Vanessa. All right. I mean, Salakia, with that Marcus. It says, since July 21st, the pass sanitary, the health pass, has already been required in certain cultural institutions and venues, such as museums and cinemas. On Thursday, however, France Constitutional Council approved plans to extend its use. The court also ruled it constitutional to make the Vanessa mandatory for healthcare workers and make the pass obligatory in bars and restaurants, as well as when taking flights or trains. All right, so you got people uproaring and protesting against that, right? You also have what you just showed in UK. They're protesting over against that in the UK. It says the number of unhappy French citizens taking the streets to protest the health pass legislation has been steadily increasing over the past 4 weeks. On July 24th, there was approximately 160,000 protesters. 2 weeks later, that figure almost jumped by 100,000. French Health Minister Oliver Véran told local media that enough is enough, and has grouped French citizens who are against mandatory Vanessas and passes with being anti-state. Okay? Anti-state. What does that mean if you are a citizen but you are anti-state? That is equivalent to treason. Here in Babylon, treason is punishable by death. All right? So that is the rhetoric. That's what they're going to continue to push, that people that don't comply with these unlawful and unrighteous decrees, that you are anti-state. You are public enemy. You are a health risk. And because so, we have the right to detain you and isolate you. Not in your own home, but we have a place for dissenters, DISSENTER, dissenters. All right, we have a place for you. Okay, and that place is called internment camps. All right, so there's that's a spirit, because I haven't really read this whole article, but I've seen the word right here. It says it is a question of being a good citizen. Our freedom is worth noting if we infect our friends, neighbors, or grandparents. To be free is to be responsible. You see? So there's the rhetoric that they're pushing. If you don't do what we say, you're not being responsible. And if you're not being responsible, then you don't deserve freedom. It says, but the French president has faced heightened scrutiny over his handling of the country's fourth wave of COVID. And not just him. Biden has. Boris Johnson has. All right. In Israel, they have. Okay. In Philippines, they have. So it's all across the world, because the Lord said what? That there was going to be, let's get that real quick. In the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 14, it says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, insurrection, okay, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, aka what? Their rulers. their congressmen, their presidents, their prime ministers, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Meaning that they're going to do what the citizens of these various countries are going to do whatever they want to do. If they want to storm a building, then they're going to storm a building. If they want to protest, then they're going to protest. They're not going to regard their rulers, their officials. All right? And that's all because of prophecy, because the Lord has mangled a perverse spirit in his place, and as it also written, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. All right, people are mourning over this devil's rulership, over his draconian, unlawful, unrighteous decrees. All right, his grievousness that he has prescribed. 2nd Ezra chapter 9, verse 1, start at the top. It says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. All right. See, the Lord visiting the world is equivalent to sorrows and wrath. But what we're watching is the beginning of the visitation of Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi, which is why it's called the beginning of sorrows. You see? And as time progresses, the Lord is going to be, basically having more visitation, or in that word visitation goes to punishments, more punishments upon the people, upon this world, upon the wicked. And that's going to continue to happen until the return of Yahawashi Mashiach, which that great day is going to be the worst day for the mass of the world in history. Okay? It's going to be a great day for the elect, but that's a small remnant. But for everybody else, that is going to be a horrific and terrible day that is going to take place on the earth. All right, and it's going to be a historically terrible day. You see, but the ones of us that are watching, the ones of us that abide in the faith of Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi and keep his commandments to the best of our ability, that's going to be a great day for us. Okay, we're still going to be, having that our hearts beating, because once again, that's going to be a day that has never been like before on the earth. However, if we get delivered, being a part of the hopeful elect, we're going to be saved from the wrath of the one who sits on the throne and his Lamb. But verse 3 says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So the Most High, Ba'ashem Yahawashi, spoke of these days that we are currently in right now, which is why we continually watch for these things and we're not taken by surprise. So let's finish this paragraph right here. It says, but the French president has faced heightened scrutiny over his handling over the country's fourth wave of Crown Royale. While such growing opposition is apparent from the expanding number of protesters demonstrating against the health pass, criticism has also been raised over freedom of expression for dissidents. All right, freedom of expression. Well, they just told you that you don't have the right to not be unvanessed. And if you're not responsible, if you don't get vanessed, then you're not responsible. And if you're not responsible, then you don't have the right to be free. You see? So there's one more. Let me see if I can find this one real quick. I posted a post. Give me this one. Just 1 second. Oh, here we go. This is the one I mentioned about Fauci, basically saying that the unvanessed is the worst, is is the reason. So it says Fauci warns of worse variant that could impact the vanessed if Crown Royal is allowed to keep mutating in unvanessed population. In his latest bid to promote Crown Royal, White House medical advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci upped his pandemic warnings and cautioned vanessed individuals about an even worse variant that could come after Delta. Now, you had over the weekend, I believe the CDC, if I'm not mistaken, it might have been CDC, or if it wasn't the CDC, it was somebody else in the pharmaceutical, false pseudoscience world of Esau, basically said that there's not enough Greek alphabets to label all of the different variants that Crown Royal is going to have, because there's only 24 Greek alphabets, and they're basically saying that it's going to be way more variants than just 24. So they were saying that they're going to have to start using the stars as names of various variants. So it says, those who remain unvanessed, Fauci claimed in a Sunday interview with MSNBC, are responsible for the Crown Royal muting. See, so he's mutating. So he's coming out and plainly saying that these variants that are about to come down the pipeline, right, are exclusively the fault of the unvanessed, and the unvanessed are the ones that are protesting. So they're going to say that these protestings and the fact that they're not getting vanessed, and the fact that they don't have the right to not get vanessed, are all reasons why they're going to start coming down with more draconian, harsher actions against the unvanessed. So when we mentioned years ago, starting with the elders and apostles and various other elders and brothers, talked about concentration camps, and we were looked at as being crazy, that could never happen in America. Well, you are now seeing the foundation of that being laid out. Okay? What did the Lord say? The scripture says that when it shall come to pass, let me get that real quick. In the book of Ezekiel, the 33rd chapter, verse 33. It says, Ezekiel 33, verse 33, when this cometh to pass, and lo, it will come. All right, because the Lord word does not go out void. All right, but it accomplishes, that's what it is set out to do. All right, so if the Lord said it, and if you put it in the spirits of the prophet's mouth to speak it, and it was spoken, then what is going to come to pass? So it says, when this cometh to pass, lo, it will come, then shall they know that a prophet hath been among them. And these things are now coming to pass. So it says, those who remain unvanessed, Fauci claimed in the Sunday interview, are responsible for the Crown Royal mutating. This has led to the Delta variant, which health officials have continuously warned is partly behind the mass rise in cases and could lead to another surge in the fall. So in the fall, in September, is when the New York key to New York pass is enforced, right? Unless you are vanessed, you are restricted. Going to be here in Babylon, you're going to be restricted from going to indoor dining and gyms and things like that. And that's just here in New York City. But we know that these other various cities and states are going to, follow that suit. It says there's a tenet that everybody knows of biology. A virus will not mutate unless you allow it to replicate. Fauci said, fortunately for us, the vanessed do quite well against Delta, particularly in protecting you from severe disease. Yeah, but it doesn't say that it doesn't allow it to mutate in your body if you are vanessed. And that's the thing. Why do you think people that are vanessed can also transmit the virus? It doesn't kill the virus. It just lessens your symptoms of the virus. So the vanessed are also able to transmit and mutate the virus. but that's not the rhetoric that is going out. Okay? That's not what they're trying. That's not, because that's not their agenda. Their agenda is to Get everybody Vanessed for whatever reason that is, right? Reasons to not have, reasons that have not yet been seen, let's say that. And then the Unvanessed, because they're not partaking in bowing the knee, well, we got to separate these people. These people do not worship the beast. They do not wonder after the beast. And anybody who does not wonder after the beast cannot be partakers of this new normal society, this new world order. So they got to be X'd out. They got to be eliminated. All right? So that's why this whole negative imagery of the Unvanessed is being propagated all throughout the world. Let's read this last part here. It says, while Fauci does not see a federal mandate being imposed, he did say he believes that once the Federal Drug Administration gives full approval to the Vanessa, which he predicts will be sometime later this month, August, it will make it easier for private businesses to begin mandating Vanessas, something Fauci has endorsed in the past. The infectious disease expert has previously predicted a flood when the enemy should come in like a flood of Vanessa mandates earlier in the week when discussing the impending approval. The time has come when we've got to go the extra step to get people Vanessed. And what is going to be that extra step? All right, the extra step is going to be you can't work without getting Vanessa. You can't go to the grocery stores without getting Vanessa. Hey, hell, you can't live in your own house or apartment without being Vanessa. You gotta be forcibly or involuntary moved to this isolation camp because you are a public health risk. That is the extra steps that this devil, all right, this beast system is going to take. So now that's that. Then let's get this last video just to show you, all right, which we have played this video numerous of times, but this goes to show you that this is where everything is heading. This is where this society is heading. And if you're not rooted in if you're not known of YAHAWASHI, if he does not know you, you're not going to endure until the end. You're not going to survive what is coming upon this place. Okay? You have to be known of Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi, written in the Lamb's Book of Life. And how does that happen? All right, first and foremost, it's predestined. All right, preordained. The ones that are predestined from the foundation of the earth. But the ones who are predestined from the foundation of the earth have a different spirit on them. Just like how the scripture talks about Joshua and Caleb. They had a different spirit on them than the rest of Israel. Okay? But it's in 2 Esdras 9 verse 7. It says, and everyone that shall be saved shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, whereby ye have believed. That is how you are going to be able to be saved. Working out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Making your calling and election sure. Okay? While everybody else is the children of the dark. Everybody else is caught up with the surfeiting and the drunkenness and the cares of this life. You got to stay taking heed to yourself, watching and praying, man. Because these days that we have warned, that the scriptures, the spirit of Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi has warned, are here. And you see it right here. It says when society falls, and you can clearly see the decadency of Babylon the Great. It's protestings every other day, man. Okay. Hey, and it says it happened while we were sleeping. All right? And that's not talking about literally with your eyes closed and you're in a state of sleep in your bed. It's talking about sleeping spiritually. Okay? Not paying attention, not taking heed to the signs. That's why here, let me get that real quick, in the book of 1 Thessalonians 5. 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 3. For when they shall say peace and safety, you getting lulled to sleep. That's what this whole summer was about. Okay, everybody was getting lulled to sleep because things opened back up. People thought, oh, things about they took the mask mandate off. They opened back restaurants and businesses and bars and clubs and amusement parks. Everybody the sheep went right back to sleep. They just went right, once they reopened the matrix, everybody plugged right back into the matrix. So they thought peace and safety, then sudden destruction shall cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Excuse me. You're not going to be able to escape, because the only way you can escape is by Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi. All right, is by the Lord keeping you. But you're not going to be able to escape because, speaking about the ones who are not rooted in the Lord, they're not going to be able to escape because you have no outlet. You have nowhere to escape to. This devil got you pinned, cornered, and pressed. That's why, as we just said, it's going to be a flood of mandates. That's why in the book of Isaiah, 59th chapter, it says, when the enemy shall come in like a flood. Hey, we're in the same predicament. We're pinned, cornered, and pressed as well. Right? And that flood is coming directly at us. But we're able to see things, see the escape, because we walk by faith. We walk in the spirit. So we spiritually see how we're going to be able to escape. We don't know physically how the Lord is going to do it, but we don't walk physically. We walk spiritually. And we know that the Heavenly Father, Ba'ashem Yahawashi, said that He is going to protect us. And just like how He said these things were going to happen and it's happening, the same way that He said that He is going to deliver us from the trouble that is coming. Same thing. So verse 4 says, but ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day shall overtake you as a thief. See, that's what it means by being asleep. All right, we're not in darkness. It says, ye are all children of the light and the children of the day. We are not children of the night nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. For they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. But let us who are of the day be sober, serious-minded, okay, calm, collected in spirit, temperate, dispassionate, okay? Be dispassionate about this world. You're supposed to be passionate about this truth, but you're not supposed to be passionate about this world, all right? That's why the scripture tells you that he that loves this world and the things thereof, the love of the Father is not in him, okay? Being circumspect, meaning watching what is going on. Not just being a blind, dumb zombie, which the majority of our people are. It says, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for an helmet the hope of salvation. All right, and that's what we rocking out with. We're rocking out with the breastplate of faith and love, and the helmet of hope of salvation. And with that, we're going to be able to fight against the wiles of this devil, man, and endure unto the end. Ba'ashem Yahawashi. Or which side you are on, you see? It's chosen for us, you see? And that's the society that they're creating right now. A side of the beast, you with the beast, and to be karagmad, ultimately, to be stamped, to believe everything the beast says. Are you going to trust in Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi? And you got other people who are on either side that are also just going to be taken and destroyed as well, because the Lord is only setting up, as it is written in the book of Hebrews, the 12th chapter, everything that He's going to once more shake the heavens and the earth, and everything that can be shaken will be. And the only thing that can't be shaken is that solid rock, which is the rock of our salvation, Yahawashi. Causeth all. Yep, and they're going to declare martial law. All right, medical martial law. They not call it martial law, but it's going to be declared. All right, and they're going to declare it in a way that is going to be deceptive to say that this is for the benefit of and the protection of the ones who comply. All right, this is for the ones of the Vanessa. We're doing this to protect the Vanessa against the anti-state Unvanessed. So if you know anybody who's anti-Vanessa, call this number so we can protect our freedom, our liberty, our health. And then watch, they're going to paint this picture that friends, the scripture tells you that friends are going to fight each other like enemies, right? Egyptian versus Egyptian, city against city, is going to be to the point where the anti-Vanessa are going to be viewed as terrorists, all right? Enemies of the state. Those who panic.
Last night I dreamt about how things were.
Now listen to what he's about to say in the background, because this is exactly what is about to be the new normal and the rhetoric here in Babylon and throughout the world. Heard that?
Last night I dreamt about how things were. And then I woke up here.
Against every enemy of the state. All right, and you've seen that they had the guillotine. Oh, shoot.
Last night I dreamt about how things were. And then I woke up here.
You see that? All right. Against every enemy of the state. And you see some, it's kind of dark, but you see some people have on like gas masks. All right. It kind of shows you that there's some type of a viral infectious disease that is going on in this movie. That this movie never came out, but all in all, we see what's happening. So we just gotta remain vigilant, remain watching in prayer, and ultimately, just staying in the spirit of YAHAWASHI, so that we can be protected in these days, man. Because the Lord, even though this devil is coming like a flood, or he's coming with his wrath and his cruelty and his unreasonableness and his wickedness, hey, man, we got victory over this devil, man. Okay, and the Lord is going to set up that standard for us, and it's going to be, Lord willing, we are those people that the Lord uses to show His great power in. All right, by way of His spiritual power, His divine intervention. All right, whatever it be, man. But we know that, as Yahawashi said, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. All right? And if we endure to the end, be faithful unto death, and Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi will give us a crown of life. So we know with that, the Lord willing is edifying unto the elect. Till next time, shalom.